Hello everyone, Tippett here to run you through the Chicago Bears preseason profile. Let's start things off with the Bears offseason additions, beginning with the coaching staff. The Bears hired Matt Nagy as head coach to replace John Fox, who went 14-34 during his 3-year stint with the Bears. Nagy is the former Chiefs offensive coordinator who coached under Andy Reid for the previous 5 seasons. Nagy hired former Oregon head coach Mark Helfrich, one of the best offensive minds in football, to serve as the Bears' offensive coordinator. As for player additions, the Bears caught a big fish in free agency when they inked Allen Robinson to a 3-year, $42 million contract. He is the clear number 1. They also added an explosive playmaker in Taylor Gabriel, who will earn his money in the slot. The Bears got a Philly special in Trey Burton, who will fill the need at tight end, left by Zach Miller. Miller is still with the team, but he will spend the year on the PUP list due to a potential career-ending knee injury he suffered last season. Classy move there by Chicago. The Bears had a solid draft as well, bringing in a few guys who will come in and make immediate impacts. They got one of the best linebackers in the draft in Roquan Smith, who will start alongside Danny Trevathan. They snagged James Daniels in the 2nd round. He was one of the top interior linemen in this class and will likely start at left guard. They also picked up Memphis wide receiver Anthony Miller, who tied for the NCAA lead with 18 TD receptions last year. He will make a strong case to start opposite of Allen Robinson. Moving on to the Bears' losses, the Bears got rid of Cam Meredith and also Kendall Wright, but I don't think that the Bears will miss them much because they definitely upgraded at wide receiver. Defensive tackle Mitch Unrein left to join the Tampa Bay Bucks, and out of all the defensive players that the Bears lost, he was the most productive. They cut linebackers Pernell McPhee and Willie Young, who were both injury-riddled, but they made up for it by drafting Roquan Smith and adding Aaron Lynch in free agency. Other notable losses include offensive lineman Josh Sitton, safety Quintin Demps, wide receiver Marcus Wheaton, and backup QBs Mike Glennon and Mark Butt-Fumble Sanchez. Overall, I give the Bears offseason an A-. They really couldn't have asked for a better one. They got their guy, Matt Nagy, at head coach, who brought in one of the best offensive minds in football in Mark Helfrich. And they also managed to keep defensive coordinator Vic Fangio. They were able to improve their wide receiver core and their linebacker core, despite losing most of the depth at both positions. They also prevented cornerback Kyle Fuller from signing with division rival Packers in free agency. Aside from the pass rush, the Bears addressed all of their team needs and did so successfully. Moving on to the Bears' preseason schedule, they kick off the NFL preseason in the Hall of Fame game versus the Ravens. They play on the road versus the Bengals in Week 1 and at the Broncos in Week 2. They come home to play the Chiefs in Week 3 and finish their preseason at home versus the Bills in Week 4. The key preseason game will be the dress rehearsal in Week 3 versus the Chiefs. 2 storylines for this game as head coach Matt Nagy faces his former team. On offense, how much work will Mitch Trubisky get? It will be interesting to see if the chemistry is there for Trubisky and his new weapons. On the other side of the ball, do the Bears still have a top 10 defense? There's no better test for the Bears than a top 5 offense from a year ago. The Bears have already started training camp, so here are a few storylines to keep an eye on. First one, how does the new offense look? They have new coaches, they have new weapons, and they have an entirely new offensive scheme. Matt Nagy and Mark Helfrich bring in a West Coast offense. Will Mitch Trubisky fit the style? Nagy worked with Alex Smith in Kansas City, and Trubisky shares a similar skill set with Smith in terms of mobility and arm strength. You can also expect Helfrich to bring in a little bit of a college vibe by utilizing a lot of run-pass options. Trubisky finally has solid receiving weapons around him, as well as one of the best running backs in football in Jordan Howard. Howard is actually tied with Ezekiel Elliott for the most 100-yard games over the past 2 seasons. Staying on offense, a position to watch during this Bears training camp is the wide receiver position. Allen Robinson, Anthony Miller, and Taylor Gabriel are all in. Marcus Wheaton, Cam Meredith, and Kendall Wright are all out. Allen Robinson is the clear number 1, but how will he bounce back after tearing his ACL last season? Gabriel will occupy the slot, and Miller will likely come in as the number 2 receiver. But we can't forget about Kevin White. He is a former top 10 pick who has battled injuries throughout his career. The Bears recently declined his 5th-year option, so this is a make or break year for White. Are they going to be on the same page early on? We'll just have to wait and see, but it's going to be interesting to see how Trubisky and these new wide receivers mesh. Personally, I think Allen Robinson will come in and be the number 1 option, but I want to hear from you guys. Who should be the Bears' top wide receiver? Will it be Allen Robinson? Will it be Taylor Gabriel? Will it be the new pick, Anthony Miller? Or will Kevin White decide that this is his time to shine and actually show why the Bears used a top 10 pick on him? We might be looking at a Bears top 10 defense from a year ago that got even better. They have, if we want to take a look at the Bears' leading tacklers here, we have Christian Jones with 90 tackles. Danny Trevathan had 89 tackles despite only playing in 12 games. And these right here are the leaders of the defense. Danny Trevathan, Eddie Jackson, Kyle Fuller, Adrian Amos. It's going to be interesting to see, will this Bears defense make the jump in 2018? Moving on to the Bears' regular season schedule. They start off first 2 weeks in primetime games. They have Sunday Night Football at the Packers in week 1, and then Monday Night Football versus the Seahawks in week 2. In week 4, Jameis Winston will return as they play the Bucs, and the final 4 games of their first half of the season, they play all AFC East teams, so that's very out of the ordinary. Second half of the season, it's going to be very critical if the Bears want to be in the running for playoff contention. All 8 games are versus NFC teams, and 5 of those 8 are going to be within the division. Frankly, I just think the Bears' schedule is far too tough for them to be in the running for playoff contention. Let's take a look at the Bears' Super Bowl odds. They have the 3rd worst odds in the NFL at plus 8,000, and Vegas just doesn't have any faith in the team that is rebuilding. I have them finishing 4th in the division. They will be a much improved team in 2018. They just play in a highly competitive division in which they went 0-6 last year. The Vikings will pick back up where they left off with Kirk Cousins. Aaron Rodgers will be back and healthy, so there's that. And the Lions will probably still be mediocre, but they still have Matthew Stafford running the offense. This Bears team is in the process of rebuilding. They're on the right track, however, they just have a new coach, a new offensive system, and a second-year quarterback, so you can't realistically expect them to have it all figured out in year 1. I want to hear from you guys. Where would the Bears finish in the NFC North? I don't see them making the jump over the Vikings and the Packers. Frankly, I don't think it'll be even close. More realistically, I can be a 3rd-place team in this division because the Lions, they haven't made any moves, and I think they're just going to stay mediocre. Okay, guys, well, you can follow Chat Sports on Twitter for all your latest NFL news and coverage. And until next time, we'll see you.